Very good evening. Welcome to News at 9 live from the news studios of Rupavahini.
Hello there. Very good evening indeed. I'm Sharma Mascarenhas.
And I'm Rohan Mendis. Let's move on to the headlines. The Sripada pilgrimage season begins today. The President returned to the island, establishing historic relations between Sri Lanka and South African region. The UN Habitat Commission praises Sri Lanka's national housing policy draft. 6,000 more persons are to be recruited to the country's health service tomorrow. And South Sudan repulses a military coup attempt.
On to the stories in detail now. Today is Uduwap Full Moon Poya Day, which paved the way towards liberation of Sri Lankan women's society. Countrywide religious observances, including Sir campaigns, meditation and benevolent activities were held in Buddhist temples with the participation of hundreds of thousands of devotees. No other historical event impacted on the status of Lankan women as the establishment of the Bhikkhuni order by Sanghamitta Theri. Her arrival in Sri Lanka on a Uduwap Full Moon Poya Day, along with 11 Bhikkhunis carrying the south sapling of Sri Mahabodhiya, gave new directions to Lankan women, taking them out from a cultural wilderness and bringing them into the social-cultural mainstream as literate persons. The establishment of Bhikkhuni Sasana, Buddhist order for women in Sri Lanka, with the entering of 500 women headed by Queen Anula, has made a real religious renaissance in Sri Lanka, along with a political, social, cultural and economic conversion. The 118th Dhamma sermon of the Amadam Sisilasa program was delivered by the chief priest of the Narada Buddhist Center in Colombo, Shastrapati, the Venerable Thalalle Chandakitti Thero, at Temple Trees today. The Venerable Thero noted that the Lord Buddha has preached that anyone who committed a wrongdoing, he or she should accept it as a wrong act. The next stage is that any person should understand that they will have to face repercussions if they commit wrongdoings. Therefore, everyone should strive that they should not repeat such things in their lives. The Venerable Thero said the President is setting an example to others by listening to the Dhamma sermon after returning to the island last night from an overseas official tour. The President is also giving the leadership to the Commonwealth. Everyone, including the President and the First Lady, should think about the shortcomings and weaknesses committed by them during the past year and on how to correct such shortcomings, he said.
තමා පිළිබඳව ආවර්ජනීය කියදිල බලන්න මගේ පසුගිය අවුරුද්දේ මගේ අතින් වුණ අඩුපාඩු තියනවාද දුර්වලකම් තියනවාද නොගැලපීම් තියනවාද ඒව මම කොහොමද හදාගන්නේ කියලා හිතන්නේ.
Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation has brought live telecast on Full Moon Poya Day religious programs at the historic Dhammadeniya Sri Vijaya Sundararamaya. Dhamma discussions and community aid services were also implemented.
Well, the Sripada pilgrimage season began today. The procession carrying the casket of relics, statue of God Saman and jewellery of deity arrived at Udamalua at Sripada this morning. Well, the casket of relics, statue of God Saman and jewellery of deity were brought out from the shrine room at Palmadu Lagalpottavala Sripada Arjamaha Vihara in a procession via Ratnapura, Palabadala and Hatton Nalata near roads. The statue of deity placed in a special shrine with a golden canopy was brought to Sripada by Sri Lanka Army officers. Our correspondent said that thousands of devotees are visiting Sripada to pay homage. The chief priest of Sripada temple, the Venerable Bengamue Dhammadena Thero, conducted religious observances. Norelia District Secretary DPG Kumarasiri said that essential facilities have been provided for devotees visiting Sripada during the pilgrimage season. He appealed to pilgrims to conduct themselves in a disciplined and environmentally friendly manner. He also appealed to devotees to allow public sector employees to make Sripada pilgrimage during weekends. He called upon elders who are planning groups for pilgrimage to make it during weekdays, and it will help them to provide better facilities to all pilgrims.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa returned to the island in the early hours of today, successfully completing a 4-day official tour of Kenya and establishing new diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and several countries in the African region. Several experts say and analysts say that President's 4-day official tour of Kenya will also bring several benefits in socio-economic, cultural and other fields. President Rajapaksa paid his last respects to the former South African President, the late Nelson Mandela. He also participated in the main mass conducted on behalf of Mandela at the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg last Tuesday. President Rajapaksa paid his last respects to the late Nelson Mandela at the Union Building in Pretoria last Wednesday. He also held cordial talks with the heads of states. Sri Lankan President started his 4-day official tour in Kenya after the end of his visit in South Africa. He arrived at Jomo Kenyatta Airport last Thursday. This was his second visit to Kenya. The Sri Lankan delegation headed by the President Mahinda Rajapaksa was greeted by the Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, Deputy President William Ruto and several cabinet ministers at the airport. President Mahinda Rajapaksa and First Lady Madam Shiranti Wickramasinghe Rajapaksa were the special guest at the Golden Jubilee ceremony of Kenya's Independence Day. The ceremony was held at Moi International Stadium in the city of Kasarani in Nairobi with the attendance of several African heads of states. President Rajapaksa paid floral tributes at the first President of Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta Memorial. President Rajapaksa paid an observation visit to the UN office in Nairobi. Director General Saleh Work Seude briefed the visiting Sri Lankan President on the start of headquarters and its task. President Rajapaksa planted an African rubber tree at the UN office premises. He presented a painting of a Candian Asalopetahara to the UN African office. 8 memorandums of understandings and agreements were signed between Sri Lanka and Kenya. It was an important milestone during the President's tour. Minister Professor G.L. Pires told a media conference in Colombo today that the two countries have entered into relevant agreements pertaining to several fields. Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pires said that leading companies in the country have taken over the responsibility of mega projects in Kenya and fulfilled that responsibility in a maximum possible manner, especially in the power and energy sector as well as the road construction. Sri Lankan companies are connected to the leading program of Kenyan economy, which is the vegetable and fruit cultivation. It will create jobs to promote trade relations while earning much needed foreign exchange for Sri Lanka.
වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ඒකටත් අපේ රටේ සමාගම් සම්බන්ධ වෙලා. ඉතින් මේකට රක්ෂා ලැබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මේකෙන් විදේශ විනිමයයක්ත් ලැබෙනවා. වෙළඳ සම්බන්ධතා වර්ධනය වෙනවා.
His Excellency also paid homage at a Buddhist temple in Nairobi. The Kenyan President has hosted a special dinner in honor of visiting the Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Kenyan State Palace last Friday. Proposing the toast, President Uhuru Kenyatta noted that Sri Lanka has fulfilled almost all millennium goals on the directions of President Rajapaksa before the stipulated date. President Rajapaksa noted that Sri Lanka and Kenya share a great ancient civilization and both countries have many similarities. He expressed the hope that relations between the two countries will be further strengthened in the future. Foreign Minister Professor G.A. Piri said that the President's official tour of Kenya will be able to build historic relations between Sri Lanka and the South African region. He disclosed that President Mahinda Rajapaksa is holding the leadership of the Commonwealth with 53 member countries. Likewise, Kenya is holding the chairmanship of East African Trade Association. It is connected to 20 African countries with a massive population. These are huge markets, he said.
මිලියන 400කින් සමන්විත ජනගහනයක්. ඉතින් මේ විශාල විලඳ පොළවල්.
Political analysts say that this was only occasion that a Sri Lankan head of state was established diplomatic relations with the African region with a new rigor since gaining independence. First Lady Madam Shiranti Wickramasinghe Rajapaksa, Minister Professor G.L. Pires, Deputy Minister Geethanjana Gunawardena, who were Province Chief Minister Sashindra Rajapaksa, Foreign Ministry Supervisory MP Sajin Divas Gunawardena and Presidential Secretary Lalit Veeratunga accompanied the President during his official tour of Kenya.
Well, 6,035 more nursing trainees are to be recruited tomorrow. Appointment letters will be presented for 1,800 trainees who completed their nursing training, and accordingly, the Health Ministry says that the number of professionals in Sri Lanka nurses service exceeds over 36,000 from tomorrow. This was the first time that a large number of persons have been recruited to the health service in a single location. The aim is to provide an efficient and excellent health service to the people through human resource development. The ceremony to present appointment letters to 1,800 nurses and recruit 6,035 nursing trainings will take place at Sukatadasa Stadium in Colombo tomorrow under the patronage of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Measures have been taken to recruit all 6,035 applicants who qualified in the GCE Advanced Level Science stream for nursing training, and 18 nurses training colleges in the island have been modernized at a cost of 180 million rupees. 500 persons will be recruited for paramedical professional training and 1,121 for intern medical service training. Measures have been taken to recruit 300 trainees for 6 months training by launching the recruitment of health graduates to the country's health service.
Finance Ministry Secretary Dr. P.B. Jayasundara says the number of public sector employees has been increased to 1.4 million under the present government from 600,000 during previous regimes. The present administration has granted the privilege of pension rights to all employees who were to be deprived of these rights. The Finance Ministry Secretary was speaking at a seminar organized to create awareness on the 2014 budget among the public sector employees in the northern province in Valnia today. He added that the public sector has been strengthened to provide a better people's service in accordance with the vision of the President.
When he took office, public service was supposed to compress. We are supposed to gradually phase out. We had only 600,000 people, and then gradually it was to reduce to about 300,000 because the policy strategy at that time was thought we don't need too big government. Why these important steps were taken by the government? Because President thinks we have to provide education to our people. Government has to provide free health to the people. Government need to provide agrarian services to the people.
The United Nations Habitat Commission praises Sri Lanka's national housing policy draft. The Ministry of Construction, Engineering Services, Housing and Common Amenities says that the UN has informed its appreciation in writing. Sri Lanka is drafting a national housing policy for the first time in its history. It will be devised to suit the present needs after studying the housing and settlement programs for several decades. The UN Human Settlement Development Program has forwarded its written observations lauding Sri Lanka's national housing policy draft. This UN institute says that the national housing policy has captured present activities and challenges in the field of housing. It has pointed out that the policy was prepared with targets in various housing fields. The Ministry of Construction, Engineering Services, Housing and Common Amenities says that presenting such a view of appreciation by an international organization on a national housing policy at the drafting level was a rare occasion. Public views have also been obtained to devise a national housing policy draft. The national policy is to be presented to the President after completing it in a comprehensive manner.
Well, a special unit has been established by the Consumer Services Authority to enable the consumers to make complaints on errant traders during the festive period. 2 special telephone numbers have been announced by the authority to make these complaints. The Consumer Services Authority informs the people to pay special attention on prices and expiry dates of food items and fast-moving goods with a high demand during the festive period. Information selling of essential commodities and food items which are unsuitable for human consumption has been received. Consumers should be cautious on purchasing electrical appliances. The issuing of a 6-month guarantee for all these appliances has been made compulsory. A request has been made from the public to make complaints or malpractices of trading by contacting telephone numbers on 011 7755 482 or 011 7755 or the hotline number on 1977. Special teams have been deployed to track down on errant traders in all districts. The director of the raiding unit of the Consumer Services Authority, Asela Bandara, said that over 2,500 raids have been conducted so far. The Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation commemorates the 88th anniversary of introducing radio service in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was the first country among the Asian countries to start a radio service during the British imperialist period. British Governor Hugh Clifford officially opened the country's first broadcasting service on the 16th of December 1925. The new radio service called Radio Ceylon was established in 1949 under a new department. The Lankan Department of Broadcasting was transformed to a corporation during the year 1967. Mr. Neville Jaivir was the first chairman and director general of the corporation. Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation maintains 3 singular services, 2 Tamil services, 1 English service, Vidula Children's Radio and timed radio service. Well, a period chanting ceremony organized to mark the 88th anniversary of the Sri Lanka radio service was held at the Broadcasting Corporation premises in Colombo yesterday. SLBC Chairman Hudson Samarasinha, SLRC Director General Chandrapala Lianage and employees of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation participated in the religious ceremony.
South Sudan's President Salva Kiir says an attempted coup by soldiers loyal to his sacked former deputy Riek Machar has been put down. It comes after heavy gunfire overnight in the capital, Juba. At a news conference, Mr. Kiir said that the government was in full control of the capital and announced a nighttime curfew for civilians. Several people are reported wounded and hundreds of people have sought refuge at the UN mission in Juba. The UN has expressed concern and appeal for calm. It said it was in touch with the government. The alleged attempt coup is a manifestation of months of political unrest which escalated in July when President Salva Kiir dismissed his deputy Riek Machar. Machar and other senior politicians accused the president of intolerance and dictatorship. In recent weeks, Kiir has warned of attempts to instigate political instability amid bouts of ethnic violence. The instability is intensified by the presence of many illegal guns, mostly from years of war with Sudan. Even though the authorities say they have put down the latest unrest, it is clear that more challenging days lie ahead for the new state.
With that, we end the news for tonight. Thanks a lot for joining us. Good night.